What's up, guys? I'm Joe. Today I'm talking about the new Kanye West album, Yay. So Kanye West is back. This is his 8th studio album, Yay, and one of 5 albums that he is at the producer's helm for this year. Previously, the Pusha T album, Daytona, was out, which I was a big fan of. Didn't quite get around to reviewing it, though I'd like to throw it in a quick thoughts video. And up next is Kids See Ghost, a collaborative album with Kid Cudi, which at the time of this being recorded has just come out and will be coming up next week for a review. Which, the rollout of these albums is something that I think is pretty exciting. Not only because, there's new music coming every week, but, the fact that there's kind of a cohesive kind of rollout plan to the albums and structure to them, which is the fact that, so far these albums have only had 7 tracks on them and have been clocking in around 25 minutes or so, which is something that I find to be particularly refreshing. In the age of streaming, the strategy has been to come out with these really long albums because it allows for more opportunity for songs to be streamed, more money to be made. I mean, it makes sense, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but obviously if you're going to release a 17-song album, there's going to be some filler on there. So I appreciate the effort to come out with, all killer, no filler type stuff. So is that what we get with this new Kanye West album? Kinda, actually. I think it's a really cool release. I am kind of surprised that Kanye even did it, the 7-track thing, kind of small, short album. I feel like Kanye albums in the past are usually a bit more of a spectacle, and then even look at the last one, The Life of Pablo, which was such a, bloated kind of album, something that he was constantly changing again and again, playing around with, changing the songs and all kinds of stuff like that. Though there's already been some lyrical changes, I think, on Yay. It just feels more of a smaller piece, which, both literally and figuratively are within the sound. There are some solid beats on here, and Kanye going back to more of a rawer type vocal and sound that we haven't heard in quite a while. I mean, the last couple records, even look at Yeezus especially, very overproduced, a lot going on. Here, kind of more straightforward. I like the sort of mix of, kind of bass-heavy beats, along with, later in the record, getting some kind of soulful, 50s, 60s type samples. Just makes for a really cool listening experience, and one that, even though it was done relatively quickly. Kanye even saying he had gone back and redone some stuff in light of some of the recent controversy, which I should probably put out there. I do not support the comments that he's been saying lately. And I'm not entirely sure if he believes the stuff or it's for promotional purposes, because it all seemed to happen right around the time he announced these albums coming out. But, not taking any sort of stand on, as far as siding with any of those comments. What I think is cool as well, there's a whole lot of guests on here, but they all blend very seamlessly into the record. No one really seems to have this big standout moment where this is their feature. It's like everyone is there to kind of fill in these musical textures. And lyrically, I've always really liked Kanye more so when he's getting a little bit more personal, and he sort of bears all on here. The opening track, I Thought About Killing You, a very jarring start. Starts with more of a spoken word thing before going into some really solid beats, but really putting some mental health issues on the table, which I think, while nothing's really profound on here, I like when, rappers, there's been a tendency lately to go into a more personal territory. You saw it with Jay-Z's 444, Beyonce's Lemonade, stuff like that. They've started this sort of trend of really doing this. And I think it's able to connect on that sort of level with stuff like that. The next track, Yikes, feels like classic Kanye to me. This album does a good job, even in its short runtime, to kind of capture a little bit of everything he's done. Some of the stuff sounds like Life of Pablo. You have some of the electronics of Yeezus here and there, but really some more of that old school vibe as well. And that shows up in Yikes, which sounds like it could be a power or a stronger type song. Kanye every now and then does have some pretty solid hooks, and Yikes is definitely one of them. And what I like about songs like Yikes and All Mine are the beats are there, but they're not particularly heavy or loud. I feel like the vocals are more brought up, which lends itself to this raw, like, mixtape type sound. And I think by having that sort of sound, it makes the album feel kind of reserved, and which is different from what Kanye has done in the last couple of records for sure. Wouldn't Leave features some great melodies, some soulful sampling. The same thing can be said about Ghost Town, which one of my favorites on here, and it goes back sampling a song from, I believe, the 50s or 60s. Those samples adding a really kind of uplifting type sound to the record here. And Kanye singing While Nothing Special has definitely improved. And I think a song song like No Mistakes has some pretty solid bars to it. I like, some of the moments on here where, Kanye really just gets going with that kind of stuff. And finally, you have Violent Crimes, which closes out the album, which I think is definitely a standout as well. Talking fairly bluntly throughout the track about going from someone who didn't have a lot of respect for women and saw them as a prize to being a father of daughters and being a husband to a wife, and all the kind of fears and paranoia that goes along with being a parent. Though I'll admit there are some kind of weird moments about how he refers to his daughter's bodies, but there are some much better lines in here about worrying about karma coming to get him because of the way he treated women in the past. Really kind of bearing all on here, which I find pretty effective. And overall, it makes for a pretty solid release. While more of a restrained release for Kanye, and obviously much shorter than anything he's done in the past, there's a lot of solid production on here. I got a good genre bending, and really kind of allowing a little bit of a snapshot of everything he's done in the past, it seems like. So overall, I'm liking this album. I'm feeling a 3.5 out of 5 for this one. Let me know what you think of it in the comments, whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.